Hi, my name is David, and this is the 2024 Holiday Hack Challenge, Act 3, the second challenge in Act 3, which is called Elf Stack. And this is a fairly long one, even though the questions, at least at the beginning, so for the easy and even for the hard one, some of the first questions are not very difficult. There's a lot of them, and there are multiple ways to solve this challenge. You are given something called the elf stack, which is basically just an elastic stack dockerized, which will automatically pull down the data and ingest it for you. So all you have to do is just use Kibana and find the answers. But you also have the opportunity to download the raw logs and then use whatever tool you like. I'm pretty sure some of you may have used Splunk to solve this challenge or some other log analytics platform. What I will show you is a CLI method along with the elastic one. So in the description, you will find various timestamps for solving the easy challenge with Kibana and then solving the easy challenge with the CLI tool. And then the same thing for the hall challenges. So you can pick which one you prefer to watch. You can just jump to the one that you're most interested in. Let's get started. Okay, so Elf Stack is the next one. This is rated as difficulty 5, so 5 snowflakes. I'm not sure about that. There are some tough ones which are really not difficult because you don't have the right event. They're sometimes more challenging because you need the right format for the challenge question, that is. So if you are able to find the right event, it's only a matter of having the proper formatting. And in most cases, the challenge is pretty forgiving on how you submit the answer. There's probably 2 questions which are related to timestamps when I had some doubts whether it was fully tested what is being accepted, because it requires an ISO 8601 formatting, but only one specific type of formatting is accepted for one of the questions. And I think it's also the same case for the other one. I'll point those out when we get there. For the Elf Stack challenge, you don't have to submit anything once you're done with all the questions. The easy one of the questions have, I think it was 15, and there's 23 or 24 questions for the gold one. So once you're done with all of those, you are going to be rewarded with the trophy, the appropriate trophy, whether it's silver or gold. All we have to do is travel to the terminal. So I'm going to use toilet travel, and Itsy Shortstack is the elf who's in charge of the elf stack challenge. I can talk to the elf. I think we are getting some hints, 6 of them to be precise. I think 2 of those are for the hard challenge, and 4 of them are for the, just grab the elf's name here so we have an easier time finding those challenge hints. So 2 of them are for the gold and 4 of them are for the silver challenge. So stack intro, you can use the elf stack seam, but you can also deploy your own solution or use just CLI. I think the CLI is definitely a feasible way of solving the challenge. That's why I decided to do 2 different kind of solutions. Even that makes the video, I think, over an hour long or even more. We'll see. And then talks about some of the fields, Vin events, and the PowerShell events. These are hints for some of the tougher parts of the challenge. I think there are more hints for the hard version. And then email 1 and email 2 are also hints for the last couple of questions for the challenge, which are more the hard questions in the challenge. The elf stack terminal is going to give you some quick instructions. So you have two different modes, easy mode and hard mode, depending on which trophy you would like to get. And you can download the content under the download button, start challenge to begin it, and then back to main to restart the session. I personally am not really sure where that button is though. I don't think it's included. Now you also want to click on the help and just read the instructions so you can set up a virtual machine. I do recommend following the instructions down to the letter. A lot of people on Discord had issues. I also have the few folks out with their setups for the SEAM, and what worked for me was using, and I think it's mentioned here as well, using Ubuntu the 2022 LTS version. Where is it mentioned? Elf stack. I'm pretty sure that was it somewhere. There we go. Yeah. So this is no joke. You should use this Ubuntu LTS version. I had one virtual machine, vanilla Ubuntu 2022 LTS install for last year's challenge, and I just used that one. So I got very lucky with that VM just waiting around to be leveraged for the challenges. And I beefed up the resources. I also recommend adding more CPU cores if you can, because the ingestion time can be reduced with that. Yeah, you need to install Docker, so just follow the installation guide, and then you just issue these two commands. Here, the 2 to 10 minutes is probably an exaggeration. For me, it was around 2 minutes, but 20 to 30 minutes is really an appropriate estimation. So I just did the setup before getting started, and I think it took way over 20 minutes. So it is closer to 30 minutes to ingest all the logs. I have that one running here in my virtual machine. So I issued the Docker Compose up setup. This downloads all the containers, does some initial setup, and then Docker Compose up will pull Kibana and Logstash. So this is just for Elastic and setup, and Kibana and Logstash, and also log ingestion. So these two steps here that I'm highlighting will take that approximately 20 to 30 minutes time here. Okay, so just bear in mind that this takes quite some time to have all the logs ingested, but after that, you have the login information here. You can just open up a browser, and then once you log in, I'm gonna zoom in so that we can read everything here. Never for the site. I'm gonna aim for 150. If you have trouble reading what's on the screen, then well, go to a laptop instead of your phone, I guess, or try to zoom into the video with your phone. But I need some real estate for solving the challenge. Okay, so after landing here, we can go to the good old hamburger menu, and the Discover tab on Kibana will allow us to browse through the data, and we go for last 1 year. This is in the help menu. As you can see, the events are from approximately within a week worth of time from September last year, since I'm recording this in January 2. And that is all. That's all you need to know here. I might every now and then zoom in and out because yeah, I'm running low on real estate here really. But I'll try to use this interface here, and we're also going to do the CLI steps next. But first off, the Kibana section for the challenge. So make sure that you read the instructions here under help and download the elf stack scene with logs. So this is the Docker configuration files that you need to set up the elf stack scene, and you also have the 2 raw logs. That's it, just to get started and as preparation. And you can pick the mode. We're going to do easy mode first. start challenge. So first set of questions will be fairly simple. It's just familiarizing yourself with the data. None of the questions are really about the actual analysis part, really. Just some very, very precursory analysis of the data itself. So very, very nice and simple, easy warm-up questions there. Okay, so the first question is, how many unique values are there for the event source field in all logs? All right, so if we go here under elf stack, we see event source being here on the side. If I click on this, there is a visualize option. I recommend using this one. I'm just gonna click on it then. And it gives you this ridiculous bar chart here. This is the lens visualization, the relatively new version of the elastic visualization options. And if you click here, you can change the bar chart into a table. I do like a good data table instead of a bar chart every day of the week. And you also want to change the number of values. So this is now configured to show you the top values, top 25 values. By default, it's top 5 values, which is a bit too restrictive. So if you see other as a category, that means that you're not displaying all the various values in the data table. And you can see that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different categories. All right, so the answer to the first question is 5, correct? Go to the next question. Which event source has the fewest number of events related to it? Easy question again. I'm just gonna scroll in my notes. I have very, very extensive notes for this one, and I just want to keep track of the progress here. So you can see that auth log is having the fewest number of events here. Okay, it's a little bit flaky. Let's submit that one. Very good. So we're making quick progress here initially. Question 3, using the event source from the previous question as a filter, what is the field name that contains the name of the system the log event originated from? Okay, not really sure what I mean by like using the event source. We just need a log that has the field name that has the system name of the log event. Going back here, I would like to pivot back to the Discover tab. I'm going to click and open it in a new tab because we are going to need this table later. It's a very nice and convenient way of looking at the logs here. And if I open down maybe one of the documents, make sure that you have here rows per, let me just check if you can actually see this. Barely. Okay, just drag this one to the side. So if I select one of the events here, I have the list of fields, and there is this drop down to show me all the fields in an event. And I can see that for this first log entry, there is a host name field that contains the name of the system. This will be, I think, easier to spot when we do the CLI solution. But that is the answer here. So host name is the field that contains the name of the system where the log is originated from. Question 4, which event source has the second highest number of events related to it? And that was the reason why I kept this one here, because we can easily pick NetFlow PMAC. I guess there's some sort of joke there that I'm not getting here for the name. All right, that was correct. Next question, using the event source from the previous questions. A filter, what is the name of the field that defines the destination port for the NetFlow logs? So this is the NetFlow logs because it has it in the name. Now, there are some really cool features that you can do. Let me close this Discover tab. And I'm going to do here a filter. I'm going to add this one as a filter here by clicking on the little plus symbol here, and that creates this box up under the search bar. These are called filters in Kibana, and they're a very good way to have strict matching or not matching. And you can also do matches on multiple values, so you can be a set match as well, but it can be just a match on the exact value. You cannot do wildcard searches or filters with these filter boxes. If you want to do a wildcard, you have to define a search criteria on the box that says filter your data, but it's really just searching in the data. The advantage of a filter is that it filters down the data that is displayed to you instead of running a new search. So if you already have the data displayed, it will just do another view on the data for you, as opposed to, for example, in other SIEM solutions, when you just have a search bar and every time you want to modify that search, you have to rerun the query. Here, with filters, you don't have to rerun the query because, well, it's not going to run a query. It's just filtering the data that is displayed to you. And some other cool features that you can do with these is you can click on them and you can use this pin across all apps option. Now, if I go to the hamburger menu and open up the discover option here, discover feature, so where we can do searches, I'm carrying over the pinned filter. That is really, really, really powerful, and I will leverage it every now and then. So let's open a new event here, and we've been asked for the destination port, I believe. So protocol port underscore DST. It doesn't matter if you do even.port DST or just port underscore DST, both are going to be accepted. I'm going to intentionally post it like this and submit it like this, because I want to show you that when you look at the CLI, they will accept the port underscore DST as well. So let's just answer the question and move on to the next one. Question 6, which event source is related to email traffic? Another fairly easy one here. I'm just scrolling my solution in the meantime. So we did these, and as you can see, these are really, really easy ones here. It's you can rush through them in no time for the easy questions. Okay, so we see mail proxy, Snow Glow mail proxy is probably the one related to emails because we don't really see anything else, and that is correct. Looking at the event source from the last question, what is the name of the field that contains the actual email text? Okay, so we need to filter on this. Now, I could do the same trick as I did before, but I want to show you how to modify filters in Kibana. So I can click on this and I can edit the filter. I can change the value here. I can either search for it, or you saw that if I delete this, it gives me all the options. I can just select the one that I want and update my filter. Interestingly, the document that I selected is still going to be displayed here. You can see the document numbering disappears next to it. So I have to close this and I can open a new one. So these are now the mail proxy related events. And I forgot what was the question. Actual email text. Okay, this should be an easy one because it is the event body. Again, just body is accepted, but I'm going to submit it as event.body. And that is correct. Question 8, using the green code event source. Oh, I get it, because it's blue code. It used to be blue code and now it's green code. Okay, it's green because of that. That's a good one. That's a good one. I have to admit that was a pretty good one. I already realized it and like, oh, okay, it's a reference to blue code, which is, yeah, been long renamed, but I think a lot of people still remember the original name of that proxy solution. So what is the only value in the hostname field? Okay, so another opportunity here to edit our filter. I'm going to get green code here, update the filter, pick the first event here, and they said the only value, so that means that secure ELF gateway should be the answer for this one. All right, that was correct. I'm going to catch up with my answers here. So question number 9, using the Greek code event source, what is the name of the field that contains the site visited by a client in the network? Yeah, okay, I got it. I was just thinking for a second. So again, you can just look at the various fields and, oh, I already see it. It's the event URL or just URL again. That is the answer for this question. And once again, here, the easy level is just getting familiar with the data. That's all there is for these questions. Okay, question number 10. Using the Greek code event source, which unique URL and port did clients in the TNCell stream network visit the most? All right, this requires us to do some additional filtering, and let's do it this way. I'm going to, oh, I already have this one pinned. Cool. In that case, I can just go and let me see, what was my solution here? Yeah, we're going to do event. Let's just type URL here to search for the field, and we're going to do a visualization on this. And I'm already filtering for event green code, event source green code. I'm going to change this to a table. And we have, now this is what I was referring to earlier. I have now other as a category. So I'm going to change this to like 50 different values and see if we still have some other values, but that means that their numbers are much lower compared to anything else. So the top one is this one here. They also ask for the port. So Google syndication.com something something. Page add to Google syndication.com. And it's 443 for the port number. Right, using Windows event source, how many unique channels in the SIEM receiving Windows event logs from? All right, so I can again mess around with this. Okay, let's give it a try. I'm gonna delete this one. I'm going to edit the filter. I'm going to select Windows event and update the filter. Okay, so this is just the number of events, but I can select channel, event channel. I can just drag it into it. So this will change now to top 5 values for event channel. Let's increase that one just to be sure to 25. And apparently we only have 5 of these. And it was the number of different channels there. So let's submit that one too. And I'm just going to scroll in my solution. What is the name of the event channel? Channels with the second highest number of events. So they're basically just forcing us to look at the various type of events here. We have security events from the security channel, and we have Sysmon here apparently. I think this was mentioned in the either the hint or the description. We also have PowerShell events, system events, and Windows PowerShell is just a different channel for other PowerShell events. So Sysmon operational is the answer here. Second highest number. Question 14. Our environment is using Sysmon to track many different events on a Windows system. What is the Windows event ID related to loading of a driver? Okay, I may have remembered just the questions, and that's where they mentioned that it is Sysmon. So this one, I think potentially will be able to answer it by looking at a scene. There's a much easier way to do that. Let me show that one. So if you go to sysinternal Sysmon, you will have here the list of events, and loading the driver is event ID 6. I think this is a much easier way of answering this question, but it should be feasible with the Discover tab, I guess. We could probably figure out something here. I'm freestyling here, so this is probably not a good idea. So we can also do channel and filter for this one, and then let's try to find a field that may contain DNS query. What is the event ID here? I think more details is potentially the one that we might want to have. So we can try to do maybe event ID here and do a visualization on the event IDs. And then we're going to do a double split here on the event ID. This gives me rows, timestamp. Let's do event ID here. See if it works. And I don't need the medium. This one. Metrics is just a count. There we go, we're getting there. I'm gonna split metrics by more details. It's not really going to split anything. Ooh. Yeah, like this. So it's not really going to split anything, but it displays the additional values. And then let's do number of values, 30 should be good. And then you can try to find the driver load here. This one. Okay, but it's actually not listed here. So yeah, the only way apparently is just by visiting the Sysmon page here, and driver load is even number 6. Yeah, I'm kind of surprised that there are no even 6. Feels wrong. I'm gonna double check that one just one more time. Event ID. Okay, I'm not in the top values for sure. This is top 1000, so top 5000 that is. So it's pretty close. Interesting. All right, let's move on. Next question. What is the Windows event ID that recorded when new service installed on a system? Again, I don't recommend trying to figure this one out from the logs. Not even sure if it's feasible, but instead you can just go and look up either the Microsoft documentation, or there's another fantastic online source here, which is the Ultimate Windows Security. So this one is also a phenomenal site that contains the information for the Microsoft documentation, right? So these are both phenomenal places, and you can just search for, like, I don't know, service installation event ID or something like that to find these with a quick Google search. All right, so that's the event ID, 4697. The last question, I believe, is, yeah, so this one is a tricky one. Using Windows Event ID source as your initial filter, how many user accounts were created? So this is sneaky. You can search for user account creation, and you will find this event ID here. So that means that we can just take this event ID and do a filter here. Let me just get rid of this. So Windows event ID, and I can do, I'm going to do a search for the first time. Event dot event ID, I think. Yeah. Then we want to have equal this number here. And nothing matches my search criteria. Now, a lot of people might think that this is some sort of error here. Yeah, I also have a different filter. You can also just search for the event source, and event ID is still going to return nothing. When you search for something and your SIEM returns nothing, either you have a problem with parsing, or there's no problem with the parsing. There are just no events like that in the data set. And I think this is kind of sneaky to have this one as the final question for the easy challenge, because it takes, I think, practice and experience from an analyst to say, oh, okay, that means that the answer here is this. No, thank you. So the answer here is a big 0. And that's it. Like, you have to answer 0 here because there are no user creation events, at least not in the Windows event logs, as we will see later. Right, so this concludes the silver version of the challenge using Elastic. I'm going to show you now how to use CLI commands to do the same thing. I don't consider this an easy route. I think this is for experienced analysts, but let's take a quick look here. Okay, so let's leave behind this terminal and let's start with a clean terminal. So what I want to show you here is the fact that if we have here the logs, two logs, if we check their sizes, they're fairly big. So 1.7 and 1.8 gigabytes is something that I would consider probably deploying something like Elastic or load it into Splunk instead of trying to crunch them through the terminal. But sometimes this might be a better and equally fast or relatively fast way. So what I want to show you here is not just this volume, but potentially, you know what, I'm going to do it in a different way. I'm going to paste all these commands here. So I'm just going to show you the number of events altogether in these, and also this part here, which I will explain in a second. So with I really hope that I'm not going to display anything by accident here that I don't intend to. All right, so very good. So I asked ChatGPT, hey, I have a couple of these log entries here. And if we take another look here, let's do a head -1 on, or maybe a bit more than -1. Let's do the first 5 events here. This is big enough. Let's just check if the font is big enough here. So first 5 events from the first log. And you want to take a look inside your logs to get an idea how to approach the analysis. We have different kind of logs here. This one looks like auth log. This one here is a Windows event log, another Windows event, another Windows event. And we saw that we have 5 different type of logs. That means 5 different log schemas potentially. Actually, with Windows event logs, it's going to be way more than that because of the different channels. So that's an additional 5 schemas at least. And you can see here that we have standard syslog, actually not the standard syslog format, but a customized syslog format. So standard syslog has the date values down to month and day, and then the time according to whatever time zone you had on the system. You have the name of the system, the type of application, so the process name, the process ID, and then the message part. This is a customized version of syslog. We have the PRI value here. This number next to it, which I'm not really sure what that field is. We have a timestamp value that is ISO 8601 format, and some empty fields here, and then a message format, which seems to be always in JSON. Now, if I want to parse this at the command line, I can use JQ, but first I need to get rid of this part. And especially because I have a timestamp value here, I don't really need this information if I just want to parse the JSON part of this. So I asked ChatGPT, hey, based on these couple of fields here, can you give me some command line option to extract just the message part? And it came up with this. Let me zoom in. So it came up with this little awk command. Awk is very, very useful if you have a field delimiter that is a multi-character field delimiter. Otherwise, I would use cut in the command line, but cut only works with single character delimiters. With awk and the -f option, awk is pretty old school, by the way, but it's still one of the most powerful ways to quickly parse text at a Unix-like system's command line. So I use awk quite a lot, but I try to avoid using it because, well, it is a full-blown scripting language, really. And sometimes I just need cut because it's a single character delimiter that I'm looking for. But here, ChatGPT was pretty smart and realized that there is a commonality, these 3 dashes that separate the message part and all the other fields, because these fields are always empty. And in the commands, I'm just verifying that that's really the case. And normally the commands are probably executed by this time now, but let's just discuss here that we're getting the logs, passing it on to awk, and we're using this as a delimiter, and then we're printing out the second column or token on the line. So if we use this as a delimiter, the second field, the second column on a line is going to be the message part. Now, in awk, you have to keep in mind that the $0 is for the entire line, and then in the array that is provided to you under the dollar symbol, you have the different tokens. So in a way, awk is indexing from 1, but there's a good reason for doing that because 0 is for the entire line. So we can forgive this to awk. And then we're just passing it on to JQ like this. JQ dot will be a pretty printing. It's a shorthand notation to do a pretty print with just JQ. It's really not necessary to do the dot. That is the root of the JSON data. You can just pass it on to JQ and it will do the pretty print formatting. Let's put this one into test. So if all goes well, I can just do, I'm still just going to do this for, well, we can do it for the entirety. So I'm gonna delete the dot part here, just to show you that this is really doing pretty printing without the dot. And we can see that I successfully extracted the message part from these events. And I have nice JSON data. That's great because I can further filter this one later with JQ. Okay, and the reason why I was running these commands here is to show you that if I just count the number of lines without doing any of the message extraction, I'm going to get, what is this? 1.1 million-ish events in log 1 and about the same amount of events in log 2. And if I also just extract the message field and do GQ-C is the compact. I can show you that one. So if I do -C here, it will print the JSON objects 1 per line. And this is important if I want to count the number of lines, which is what I'm doing here. So you can see here that as a result of these 2 commands, I'm getting the same output, matching it with the output of my first 2 word count, meaning that this is a viable way of extracting the message part from the logs. Okay, so hopefully this is understandable, and you will see that once we're gone through this one initial step, all the commands will be fairly simple. We're just going to use grep. The only time we use awk is this time here, and I might use some of the advanced functionality of simple grep, and you might be familiar with things like ripgrep or ugrep or some other derivatives, which are even faster than grep, but you will see that it is going to be very, very, very fast. And then we just do some very simple JQ magic. I am going to use grep for filtering, however. If you look up JQ, the tool itself, you might see people using the select function in JQ. Do not use the select function though, because it's very slow. It is not designed for filtering a large amount of logs. So instead, I'm always going to use grep for filtering, and I'm just going to use JQ for formatting the data to my liking, to my need. All right, after this really fast primer on how to slice and dice logs, let's start doing the challenge again. So I'm going to get back here and restart session, go back to main menu. What is continue with current session? Okay, weird. Okay, just clear the session. Yeah, okay. So let's go back to easy mode. and start the challenge. So first question was, how many unique values are there for even source field in all the logs? All right, so for this one, we're going to first look at the logs. So I'm just listing out here the first two, and I'm using head -2. Forgot to mention this. The proper way of using this would be the -n2 method, because that is for the number. If you just do -2, that is the same, just less characters to be typed. So whenever I can spare some typing of characters, it's always a great thing. But you can see here that it has the same exact output. Okay, so that's just the idea, in case you were wondering. All right, so here we can see that we have, let's count this as one field, 2, 3, 4, and this was the type of event here. So in theory, if I do something like this, oops, just once, and I use cut here to use space as the limiter, I can have the for field on the line. That gives me the type of event. So to scale this one up, I'm going to do this. I'm going to hit enter because it will take some time to go through all the logs. So cat will concatenate these two logs together. I need to do this now. I will try to avoid doing this, and I will instead use grep to look at all the logs, because this is slower, significantly slower. Then I'm just extracting that field that we saw earlier, and I'm doing this sort unique sort weird thing here. So the reason why I'm doing this is to get these numbers here in front of the field name. So sort is required because unique is a command that requires a sorted list. Unique-c will tell unique to count the number of unique occurrences for the data that I'm feeding into. So I'm piping these into my commands. The output of the logs, the extracted fields go into sort. So this will be a sorted list here. And then unique-c will count the unique occurrences for all the values that I'm feeding into, which will then result in whatever order for the numbers, because it's just counting the different occurrences. So if it sees, for example, auth-log first, that's going to be the first value returned. So without the, you can also do this. Without the sort-rn, this will be not sorted by that number. So sort-rn is going to do, first of all, a numerical sort. And I need a numerical sort because stored by default will do alphabetical sorting, and I want to have an increasing, decreasing rather, a descending order of those values. As you saw, auth-log was the first log entry, so that is the first value that unique sees, and that's going to be the order. So it just blindly will count the number of occurrences of the things that it sees first, and I need to order them by the number, because we have later questions, and also this is just a good practice to have some sort of ordering in your events. Okay, so the first question was, how many events? Well, 5. Which event source has the fewest number of events? Again, that's the reason why we're doing this. So auth-log. Next question. What is the field name that contains name of the system log event originated from? Okay, so for this one, I can be a bit lazy. And what we're going to do is just a head. So I'm taking the first 3 events from this log. I'm not really sure why am I grepping on the Windows event here. It's probably because, okay, we can do it without the Windows event. So it's probably because only Windows events have that field, actually. Okay, now I'm puzzled why I was filtering for that. I think I wanted to have a -v on it, probably. But it doesn't really matter. So I can take just the first 3 here. I'm gonna change my my notes here. So this one does not have the field for the host name, but these two do have that. Yeah, so I think I wanted to do actually a dash V there. Now it bothers me, so I'm going to change that one in my notes. So yeah, not all the fields have this one apparently. Yeah, strange. Normal my normal notes do not have that one. It is actually just this command that I added here. Okay, interesting. So yeah, this one does not have the hostname field, but the answer is the hostname field here for the question. Which event source has the second highest number of events related to it? Okay, we had this one scrolling off the screen, but it was the netflow events. So we don't need to run a new command for this. Probably it's a good idea to take these and, well, we can do that. And have like a text editor here so that we can just go back to some of the useful ones here. I think we have a few other follow-up questions on that. All right. So question number 5, using the event source from the previous questions filter, what is the name of the field that defines? So we need the destination port here. Okay, that should be easy as well. So I'm going to do an initial filter here for the netflow one. And I'm just grabbing the first event here because I'm looking for the event field names here. So I'm just going to get the first log, the first event from the first log, and just extracting the fields here for that first event in a pretty print to find a port destination. What's the question? And I can submit this. And if you remember back, or if you check the Kibana version of the solution, the question accepted event.port destination because that was the name of the field in Kibana. Here, it also accepts just port_destination. Which event source is related to email traffic? Again, this is a good idea to save this one here. So it was the mail proxy from our stacking of different event types. And then they ask us to give a field name for where the entirety of the email text can be found. So here again, I'm just grabbing for the email proxy value, getting the first event and looking at the pre-printed version of the log to see that there is a field called body that contains the email body. Let's submit that one. And we're already at 48 minutes for this challenge. I think this is going to be a record long video because the hard challenge has a lot of questions. So I think we're going to go over 2 hours. Again, use the timestamps if you want to jump forward. Using the green code event source, what is the only value hostname field? Okay, so it says only value. Again, we can cheat a little. So here, it means that I can grab any event that is a green code event, and it should have a field with that value. Oops, I think I'm missing a JQ here at the end. Oh, not even that. No, I think it was just incredibly lazy with this one. Let me check. Not even extracting the field or anything. Yeah, it seems like I was just super lazy. We can also look at the raw events here. Hostname field. Oh yeah, because we don't even need to do that. So that is the hostname field here. It's not in the JSON data. Okay, so secure ELF gateway. Using the green code event. What is the name of the field that contains the site last visited? Okay. Not last visited. The site visited by the client on the network. So for this one, I can just look at this event and see that it's URL, or we can do a nice formatting here. That's basically what I'm doing here and see that that is the field URL. Okay. Using the green code event source, which unique URL and port did clients in the Timecodes team network visit the most? So this requires us another stacking of the values and some additional filtering. So what I'm doing here is now I'm reading for all the logs, green code events. I am extracting the message field with this alt command, and then I am selecting the URL field. So here you can see me doing the -R. It tells JQ to extract the raw value without the quotes for the field, and I'm selecting the URL field in the log entries. So basically here, instead of doing the root of each object, I'm just extracting that field. That's the reason why I like using JQ, because you can do these powerful things. And I'm doing that stacking or frequency count, and I'm just going to go ahead. I don't know. Let's do like 50 values. Should be more than enough, because we're just looking for the top one, which is here. Okay, let's submit this one. Hopefully I managed to copy and paste this correctly. There we go. Using the Windows event source, how many unique channels is the SIEM receiving Windows event logs from? So another opportunity for running ramp on all the logs, again extracting the message field from the syslog messages, and now I'm selecting the channel value, and I'm doing another stacking here with sort unique sort. This is taking longer because there are way more Windows events here, so it takes a lot of time to then run the sort unique sort. This is pretty fast here with the graph. That is the part that is taking longer. And the answer here is 5. This is taking much longer than I expected. But bear in mind, we have 2.2, almost 2.3 million security events alone. That's most of the events. Okay, in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and... Okay, we got it. So there is some events that return with a null. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Not sure what the null values are. Altogether, we have 5 different channels. What is the name of the event channel? The second highest number of events. So that was syslog operational. Oops. Why did I select the PowerShell one then? There we go. Our environment is using sysmon to track many different events on Windows systems. What is sysmon event ID related to loading of a driver? So again, this is just you going here and looking up the driver load from the sysmon documentation. So that was a 6. Next question, what is the Windows event ID recorded when a new service is installed on the system? I think I need to hit the back button for this one. I'm going faster through these because it was discussed in the Kibana part. And then how many user accounts were created? That's the last one that we can run a search against. Let me just do that one. I did some of these notes in a haste, so if I'm slow to type in the filters here and the commands, that's because I'm correcting my notes as well. So here I am again extracting for Windows events the message part, and then I'm searching for this event ID, and it just gives me back the prompt, meaning that I have no user creation events. And again, you want to look up the ID first, run the search, and then just go and answer a big fat 0 on this. And that is how you do the easy challenge with the CLI. All right, very, very nice. So let me just get an idea of the timestamp. So around 55, we're going to start the gold version of the challenge. First, the Kibana solution, and then we're going to do the CLI solution after the Kibana solution. All right, so hard mode question 1. So I'm going to use the CLI later, but let's go back to the elastic stack here. And I think I probably want to get rid of most of these things and just open a Discover tab, discard all the changes. There we go. Last 1 year, displaying all the 2.3 million-ish events. All right, so first question for the hard part. Whew. All right, it's probably going to be another hour as we crunch through the hard mode. But I don't need to explain that many things now in the environment, so I can just work on the actual solution. But there's still going to be a few features that we use with the hard mode that I have not used in the easy part. Okay, so question number 1 for the hard mode. What is the event ID number, sysmon event logs relating to process creation? And this was kind of surprising because that was one of the easy questions, and it's ID 6. Relating to process creation. No, process creation is 1, ID 1. So in sysmon, I'm showing you this. So 1 is process creation, but it's basically the same idea. You just go to the sysmon documentation here, but instead of a driver load, it's process creation. So you want to remember 2 events probably in sysmon by heart. One is process creation, the other one is the network connection. I think those are valuable. Driver load is another important one. And the registry events are also kind of important, but by heart, I think everyone who works with sysmon remembers process creation and network connection events, because those are usually the ones that you're mostly interested in. Okay, so event ID 1 is the answer here. Very good. Next question. How many unique values are there for event source? Now, that is the surprising one, because we already solved that one. So it was us just going event source, visualize, instead of the bar chart, doing a table here, doing like, I don't know, I'm gonna do 50 values here, and then you saw that there were 5 of these. Not really sure why they have this question twice, and the previous one was also like kind of just a warm-up question, I think, because if you answered the easy ones, you had that one. And this is also what is event source contains email logs. That was also a question in the easy one. So it is the snow glow mail proxy. All right, next question. And then you can see that this is really now the hard mode. So we have long questions like this. So network was compromised recently through a phishing attack. Attackers find a way to bypass the middleware that prevented phishing emails getting to no port else. As a result, received IPs were different for what most email logs contain. Find the email log in question, submit the values from field of the email log event. All right, so for this first question, we would like to probably create a filter here. There are multiple ways to do this. Let's do it the filter way. So I'm gonna take this one, pin it, and then pivot to the Discover tab, discard the changes, and this carries over my filter. So I'm just looking at events here that are related to emails. And if you look at the fields, you will see, well, you can barely see it from my head over here, but you can see right over, oh, no, there. Right over here, we have received IP 1 and 2. There. I'm like the person who's looking at the TikTok video. So 2 fields, received IP 1 and 2. So what I want to do is I want to create a visualization. So let's just take one of these, doesn't matter which one you pick, received IP1, and I want to do a visualize. And the idea is the same, so I'm going to do a table here, but not just for received IP1, but also received IP2. And the reason why I'm doing this is I have now two separate rows depending on the values here. Received IP1 and 2 for the overwhelming majority of the cases is going to be the same. But here, received IP1 is the same as before, but I have this 3430 dot IP address, and there's only one record that contains this IP. So I can, let's do the same trick. I can create a filter here for this, and then pivot back to discover. I really like this. Oops, I just left it behind. Okay. So what I was about to say is I really like this feature of pinning, and then I totally forgot to pin the message, but that's okay. We can redo the whole thing. So create this and then pin across all tabs. There we go. Go to discover, and I should see just one single event here. Excellent. And I totally forgot what was the original question. The from field. All right, cool. Let's pick up the from field. This is the address in the from field. What is this? Chris Kringle? Yeah, Chris Kringle, Norpol local, I think. Whatever, doesn't matter. That's the answer. Next question. Okay, so question number 5 is, and I'm just looking at my songs in my playlist. Normally this should loop soon, so we'll see. If the music goes totally silent, then I have to restart my playlist, but normally it should be on a loop. All right, so AlpSockNS need your help identifying host name of the domain computer that established connection to the attacker. After receiving the phishing email from the previous question, you can take a look at the green code proxy logs as an event source. Since it's a domain computer, only need the host name, not a qualified domain name of the system. Okay, so here you really need to take a look inside this event that we found to figure out the next pivot point. And if you take a closer look, this email contains a URL with a zip file. So that's actually the fish here, probably encrypted zip file. There's also a password here, very, very common scenario. Although today it's less likely to happen because a lot of mail systems now started blocking encrypted attachments. Okay, so I can take, for example, this value here and create a filter. And I can modify my filters and place here a search instead. I'm going to get some additional real estate here. So let me do it this way. We are going to yeah, let's create something like this. So I could do filters on this, but I prefer getting rid of these just to show you that you can also write a search query. And so we are going to filter for or search for events with event code, and in the event URL, the URL that we found in the body part of that phishing email. And when I hit enter, we get one single event returned, and we need the name of the system, which is not the host name. This is the system where the logs are originating from. So that's our event collector basically. But this is the event.host field, and it's Slay Rider. Let me see if you can, yeah, you can see it from my head here. So there you go, like Slay Rider up there. I promise I will stop doing the pointing thingy. That is the answer here. Cool, next question. And question 6 is related to it. So some of these smart questions are related to each other, but then there's a point where all of a sudden we just change to a totally different system. There is a logical chain of thought behind the questions. So it is similar to how an analyst would go through the analysis. But some of the questions are intentionally kind of complex and challenging, or not really complex, like the questions are not really horribly difficult to answer. It's just that there's like an additional twist there sometimes. But I kind of felt that this is a kind of boring and almost mundane challenge because you just keep on doing the analysis. But that's the cool thing in this challenge, that it's realistic. It's very realistic. This is how you would investigate. So it's very clear and obvious that a security analyst was creating this challenge, and it is very realistic. But the problem is, like, CTF challenges, if they're realistic, they start feeling like work, which is not a bad thing, by the way. The goal here is really learning. So what was the IP address of the system you found in the previous question? Okay, our music looped over, so that's good news. So here is the event IP address for the system. It's from the same event, so you don't need to do any additional filtering for this one. Next question. Process was launched when the user executed the program after they downloaded. What was the process ID number? Digits only, please. All right. So we can rely on certain things here. We have sysmon. We already know that we do have network events in our sysmon from previous questions from the easy challenge. I saw a few event ID trees, and we have a URL that was accessed. So the filter that I came up with for this one is the following. I'm filtering for Windows event. Actually, you can leave this one out and just filter for challenge, because only Windows events have challenges. So if you want to keep it, short, you can just do this. And then I do a wildcard search on just the domain and the URL. Not really sure why I'm doing it this way. We can just go for the URL as well. This, for my hopes, is returning events. I don't know how many events we're going to get. 2 events, which in close proximity to each other. But my hopes is that we're able to catch one of the sysmon network events, and that also contains the process ID. I'm not sure if it's the first one or the second one, so pick this one here, which is not the first event. That's actually the first event here. So the ordering is reversed, but whatever, it doesn't matter. So we're actually capturing not event ID 3, but 15 and 1. 1 is process creation, so I have higher hopes for this one. And we can see that the event command line is Chrome grabbing the URL as the argument. So this is probably the malware doing this, or the fish payload doing this. And we found the same URL in the zone value, zone identifier. This is the alternate data stream in the files that you downloaded from the internet. This is what Windows is using to identify as a file that was downloaded from the internet. So that's why when you open, for example, an Excel file or a Word file, you get the warning that this file has been downloaded from the internet. And it shows the URL. It's a very important artifact when you do forensics on a system or incident response. Okay, so this one, I don't think it contains it shouldn't contain the event ID, because a 15, to the best of my knowledge, is a registry event. No, factory stream hash. Yeah, okay, makes sense, because it's an alternate data stream here. That's why we have this value. Yeah, but 1 is a process creation, meaning that we should have the process ID here. Now, the representation of integers is kind of annoying, so we need to remove the comma here. Should be able to submit this one. All right, awesome. Next question. All right. Did the attacker payload make an outbound network connection? Our FSOC analysts need your help identifying destination TCP port of this connection. we're going to use a very cool feature of Kibana to answer this one. So you can see here the document that we viewed for the process creation. You can also go back and forth between the events here. You can view one single document, so this document here, or view the surrounding documents. And I want that. I want to see the surrounding events. So we have newer documents, which you can see these are events happening afterwards. And we display 5 newer and older documents. We can change this number, of course. And we can also do some additional filtering here, because these are just, well, whatever type of event we had in our logs created at the time. But we are looking for network events for real skis now. So I like to, because this is also from the same type of log channel, use here the fields to create filters for myself. So let's filter for just sysmon operational first. So let's create one filter here. You cannot use searches here in the surrounding documents part, but that's not an issue. We can just operate with filters. And the event ID is not 1, but I would like to change this to a 3 for network events. And we also know the process ID. So let's filter for the process ID, because the same process and same process ID should be also displayed in a network event if there was an outbound connection. So I'm going to add that one too. And then let's do it this way. I'm going to put the event ID here. And I can see that right after this, there is an event. So I'm looking at event ID 3 here, and what I'm looking for is the TCP port. So let's verify first that this connection is actually being made to that. How to save xmas is the image name here. And I see destination IP, destination port here. I cannot see here the domain information, though. That one goes into a DNS event. I don't really need to see that one, though, because this executable here and the process ID is the same as, where's the parent? I thought that this one also included that executable, but it's just Chrome here. Anyways, the event ID is connecting the 2 events together, so this is the same process. It's just this how to save xmas.pdf.exe file that is performing the outbound connection action. So the port number here is 8443, an alternative HTTPS port. Based on these, by the way, we can also create a filter. So if you don't like this method, with the information that we have, I can also do a filter like this. And this should return pretty much just the same events here. One, and then you can see here the destination port is different. I would have to go through all the events here to find the one that is really related to. So searching for the surrounding events is much easier and better way of doing it. I can also rely on the event time from the process creation to find the event. So that's the one here that we found earlier. The port number was, oops. The port number was 8443. Let's remove the comma and submit it. So this find surrounding events can be really useful if you are going down the timeline, meaning that you have one event and you want to see what happened before or after. So it's a really cool feature in Kibana. Attacker escalated the privileges to system account, creating an inter-process communication IPC channel, subbing the alphanumeric name of the IPC channel used by the attacker. Now, this is kind of tricky. This took me a while to kind of move away from what I initially thought was the right way of doing things. So first I looked at sysmon because there are named pipe events, right? So IPC communication uses named pipes. That's why they're asking for the pipe event. And I was looking for these events. There are events related to these, but not the initial pipe creation. So if you search around and look for privilege escalation and name pipes, this is the document that you will find. So in Elastic, they actually give you some ideas on what to look for. And they're looking for the creation of name pipes here. So this dash dash pipe dash dash is a really good filter, a really good idea for a filter. So let's create something similar. And so event source is Windows event ID, channel is sysmon operational. Again, if you don't feel like doing that part, then just do channel and that's it. And then I'm doing a wildcard search for //pipe // Let's enter on this. I get back 4 events. Let's look at the earliest one maybe. There it is. So event details, CMD, echo, and then there is the name of the pipe here. After /pipe/, the name here is the name pipe. Usually this is going to be some sort of random value, like in this case. There we go. Then attacker's process is attempted to access a file, submit full complete file access by the attacker process. Now here, we can again just look for various events related to file access. Here, once again, you have sysmon related events for file creation and raw access read for accessing files. You can try to look for these, for example, by applying a filter like such, and try to find any events related to process IDs. Look at the event IDs here. You have some other category listed here for the event types. I'm not really sure why it's doing the timestamp here. Let's just do event top values, and not the median, but the count. Oh yeah, this is the event ID here. Okay, that's actually good. Let's do 30. And okay, I was mistaken. So there's no raw read, and I have not seen any. Well, there are a couple of file creations, but this is accessing a file. So here, not sysmon. Basically, this is what you need to keep in mind in a challenge. If you cannot find it in sysmon, and I know I'm kind of using sysmon here as a clutch for everything, but it's a really, really good data source. So I always go to sysmon first. But you can also search for events that are file access events, either through the Windows documentation or the Ultimate Windows Security website. It's going to give you the same information. So we're looking for a different event ID here and not sysmon events. So we're going to look for Windows events with this ID, and I'm still trying to find the same process ID here. There's one single event. That sounds pretty good. Let's go to Discover tab. Discard the changes. Okay, let's refresh this. Okay, there's actually more than one event like that. Interesting. Gonna order this by old on top and new towards the bottom. Okay, I really hope that I have the right one here. That's PowerShell. Something's off. In the previous view, I had one single event. Oh yeah, I see now. I got the wrong filter here. There we go. One single event. Okay. Ooh, I was worried for a while. And this one has the process name, one on process that we saw before. And there we go. Object name contains the name of the file here. Just copy that one. So this is seemingly looking like some sort of, I would say, SSH key file. So it's a PEM format, and it contains an IP address and a username. That's why I kind of suspected that this is probably SSH related. And we'll see in the next question that it is actually SSH related. All right. Attacker attempted to use a secure protocol and SSH to connect to a remote system. What is the host name of the target server? Okay. For this one, there are various options. So because they access this file, this can be based on the username or the fact that we suspect that this is SSH. So you can either filter for this username as a wildcard and see what events are coming up for this. And you will see that most of these are autlog events. Let's check some of the fields here. So we see here session closed, disconnected user, close session, starting session, shell, and so on. All right, I can also just search for SSH because we're suspecting that they were using SSH just to find out basically the same events. And we can already see the host name here. So a bunch of SSH related events with this user. So if we look at this, we still see the same events, and we notice that the service is SSH. The host name is Kringle Slay, but SS and H at the very end. Funny. So that is the endpoint that they were trying to connect to. So they created an account to establish the persistence on the Linux host. What is the name of the new account created by the attacker? Okay, here you need to leverage your knowledge about Unix systems and the fact that adding an account is done with the user add command. So we already know that they were on the Linux system. So we can filter for autlog, and then I'm just doing a wildcard search for user add here to find one single event. That's very, very promising. You can see here the event message. There's a new user creation. The name is SSDH. Trying to hide, but they cannot hide from our watchful eyes. All right, so that was the answer for question 12. Question 14 is the attacker wanted to maintain persistence on Linux host. They gained access and executed multiple binaries to achieve their goal. What was the full CLI syntax for the binary attacker executed after they created the new user account? So again, this is a good opportunity for us to view the surrounding documents. And probably one filter that makes sense is to focus on the autlog type of event. So I'm going to create a filter here for just that. And let me just change here the display, and let's have the event message displayed only. So not the entire document summary here, but just the event message. So this is our main event. and newer documents should be listed here. I only see 5 of them, so probably it's a good idea to go up to like 15 documents and try to see if we are able to catch anything additional. And there we go. Basically, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The 6th one here contains an execution of the command, which is user mod for the user SSH. They try to get like sudo on that. So that is the full command here. All right, awesome. Attacker enumerated Active Directory using a well-known tool to map our Active Directory domain over LDAP. Submit the full ISO 8601 compliant timestamp when first request of data collection and back sequence was initially recorded against the domain controller. So here I did a bunch of things. Usually this is, I think, the question that people get stuck on, at least based on discussion on Discord. I also got stuck on this one for, well, quite some time. So again, Devastation came to my rescue and gave me a gentle nudge saying that I'm not looking for the right type of events, because again, Sysmon, my clutch, I tried to look for events for the LDAP port, which is 389, and this returns a bunch of events. Okay, so this is not a bad approach. The only problem is that none of those events will be the first one. You only get 11, but this event here, this timestamp here, is not the timestamp, not the first event. And you have to take a step back in this case and just realize that they're asking about LDAP and Active Directory domain. So you might looking for LDAP type of events. So looking at LDAP events for incoming connections, there is this event ID that I found on the Manage Engine site. Sure, accept all cookies, whatever. And you can filter for this event ID for LDAP bind type of events. I was kind of skeptic about this, but it does return a big number of events in pretty much in a singular time interval. So you're looking for the earliest event. Again, sort from old to new. And we can expand this very first event. And we need the ISO 8601 compliant timestamp format. This is the timestamp that is displayed according to your browser's configuration. So don't get fooled by this one. There is a raw timestamp event here, the event date, and you want that field, that timestamp. Let's submit this one. And this question expects it in this specific format because that's what you have here in the fields under Kibana. But we'll see that another question expects it in a different format, probably because this is how you see it under Kibana. But when you do the CLI analysis, you'll find this timestamp in this raw format, but the other one will not be in that format that the question expects. And I think that's maybe a bit of a miss on the question creator's side. But we got the right event here, so this was the LDAP event, not Sysmon. Okay, question number 15. I know it feels a lot. We've already been through more than half of the questions. It will speed up. We will have a few more trickier questions, and then it gets sort of easier towards the end. All right, so attacker attempted to perform the privilege escalation 1 Active Directory certificate service attack. This is to create a certificate in the name of another user, or not really in the name of another user. You make a request, but in the certificate, the principal name is your target user's principal name. This has been patched most places. Escalation 1 shouldn't be possible, although there are some bypass opportunities with that one. And if you do a quick search try to do like a Google search and look for certificate services denied event log. You will find the ultimate Windows security having this event. So we can just do a quick filter for this. See if you find anything. And yes, indeed, there is one single event here. And the question is the name of the software responsible for preventing the initial attack. So this can be, of course, the certificate service itself, or an administrator can deny it and give a reason. And this is a field that gets added, reason for rejection. So this is actually some sort of like automated tool, Kringle Guard, acting as a certificate admin. Okay, so Kringle Guard was blocking this attempt. All right, next question. We think the attacker successfully performed the attack. Can you find the name of the user they successfully requested a certificate on behalf of? Okay, so moving on here, there was a failed event. There should be also a failure type of event. And sure enough, there is this one here. And also this one here. So this is approved. And this is also receiving a certificate. So we'll see which one we will actually find. I forgot. Honestly, I forgot. I can't remember which one is it. We have one single event here. Let's see, what is the event ID? So this one is the first one. So just receiving the request. We don't have an event for issuing and approving. Maybe this was not configured, but the reception is logged. And the question was the user principal name on the certificate, which is here, user information UPN, not prepper at Northport local. Probably not a good thing that they are now have this compromised user account. And we're going to leverage that. Oh, sorry, just the username, not the full UPN. So just not cracker. There we go. So we're going to leverage this information for the upcoming few questions because they keep asking about this account. So in our filters, we're going to include that. One of our file shares was accessed by the attacker using the elevated user account. Submit the folder name of the share they accessed. Okay, so we are looking for shared access events. And we have, if you search for this, network share object accessed. That's a good event, by the way, the 5140. It's kind of noisy, so you want to be careful when you decide to generate this, because it's a kind of object access type of event. So it can be very, very noisy, but for sensitive shares, well, you want to know who accessed it. So you have to find place for these events. These are very, very important events for critical shares. For stuff that is, you know, not that sensitive, you can probably get away with not logging this. All right. So we're going to use this term subject username. You can find the actual field names displayed here. Subject username and subject SID. We're just going to use the username here, so we can use that for our filter. And we know that Nutcracker was the compromised account. And then the event ID. We get back 7 events. And if we open down the first event and scroll down to see the details, we will see the share name information, which is this lists, which kind of makes sense. And we can copy it here and submit. And this is the answer for question 17. Question 18. The naughty attacker continued to use their privileged account to execute a PowerShell script in domain administrative privileges. What is the password for the account the attacker used in their attack payload? I do remember this one. This is way, way, way easier in CLI. because there is a parsing issue, and this is mentioned in the hints, but the field that we need, what we want to search on, is not parsed correctly. So it will take some time to find the right event. Now, one thing that you can suspect is, well, first of all, you need to change to the PowerShell operational channel. If you look at these events, and then check the event ID field, event ID, if I could type, there we go. You see that there are various PowerShell event IDs. The one that are interesting are the script block logging and module logging. Probably the script block logging is the more interesting one. So we can add that one either as a filter or in our search term. I will do the latter one. So we're looking for event ID 4104, which is script block logging events. So this is not the entire PowerShell module, but what was executed as a PowerShell command being logged under that event. The issue, however, is that I'm gonna leave it here, the fields. The issue here is that you want to take a look at the script block text here. Just see if everything is readable from my big hat here. So this field, and if you display this as a table, you're still going to have to crunch through about 1,277 events. Now, this is quite a lot, and you might have the idea to add the username nutcracker and just use it as a wildcard or something. The issue is this returns no events, and you will see once we find relevant event why is that. But this is rather problematic, and we need to deal with this issue. So what we're going to do instead, or what I have done instead, is going through these script blocks, and a lot of them are, as you can see, irrelevant. So these are probably system processes running these, and we can start filtering these out. So I'm going to just go and try to slice and dice the logs by just removing these. So verify, we don't need that. We are also not interested in this command, and we're going down quite significantly with every removal here. I'm looking for outliers or common ones that we can further filter out. Probably still need to filter a few more, or we can start seeing more clearly. GP update force, that's also a big one probably. Let's see what else we can filter out. I'm just randomly trying to find the ones that I can get rid of. And now I need to zoom out a bit so get back some real estate. So I'm just browsing through the events, trying to find one that looks like an outlier. And it is not a straightforward process. Kept saying this perf mon, so this will also cut it down a bit. And then eventually you will see, like when an attacker executes a PowerShell script, usually those are way longer compared to the ones that we can see here. So I'm just trying to find the one that kind of looks like an outlier. I'm also going to probably display a bit more. Again, there's no good way of doing this, unfortunately. Like, there will be if the field was parsed out correctly, because the term nutcracker you will see is in that field. Okay. Let's see, maybe the test connection one I can also remove. I'll keep on removing rather these noise. I don't know process in the background. Okay, we're down below 400. I'm going to try to order this now. You will see that with one single command, basically, we will be able to do, let's look at newer events. Maybe changing the order will bubble this one on top. Ah, there's one. Look at this one. So see, this is significantly different compared to the others. So significantly more code is in there. And here's the issue. So ignored value. Field is too long. Can be searched or filtered. Even though we have the username Nutcracker in there. Can you see that? It's right above here. I'll zoom in. So Nutcracker is here, and right below that there is the password. But unfortunately, because this field is not parsed out correctly, and again, this is in the hints, this is kind of tricky. But we got the password for the question. So what is the password for the account? Their attack payload. There we go. And now I need to remove all of these. I think there, sorry, there is a quick way of doing it. Let's just do new, and then we will adjust the filters later. So the attacker then use remote desktop to remotely access one of the domain computers. What is the full ISO 8601 compliant UTC event time, but they establish this connection. Now this is far more easier. So remote desktop should immediately give you an idea what kind of events we're looking for. So we're looking for login type of events, but instead of searching for the event ID, I'm immediately going to do the logon type, which is type 10 for RDP connections. I'm going to look for the username Nutcracker, and I'm just lazy doing it. The event ID is 4624 for successful logons, but if I'm filtering for the exact logon type, as you can see, I'm going to have great results. So there's really no need to enter the event ID here. And let's look at some of these. What was the question? The timestamp of the first event. So, all right, these are all the same times. And here you only have the event time field available. Again, don't use the timestamp one. That's not in the correct format, and you don't want to manually convert this. So there is Nutcracker. And let me see the event ID here. That is actually event category group membership. There's a series of events here. There we go, log on. And this is a successful log on. So that's actually the event that we're really looking for here. Again, there's some ignored values here for the field. And yeah, so the event timestamp is this one here. And unfortunately, this is also going to be the required timestamp format, even though you're using the CLI, because I don't know, the way the question is evaluating the answers, but in the raw events, this is not how it's represented. So this is a translation. What it is, we'll see that in the CLI, we need to do some conversion to this format. Just keep that in mind. How do you know that when you do the CLI part? You don't. You're just going to struggle probably. But you can try different formats. I don't really like these timestamp format questions because the fact that it's something is ISO 8601 compatible format is not making it less ambiguous. There are many formats under that standard, and in case of a CTF, I don't think that's really the point there. So they should have been ready to accept all different kind of formats. Anyways, question 20, we're almost there. The attacker is trying to create their own naughty and nice list. What is the full path they created using their remote desktop connection? Okay, so we can look for events with the surrounding events, but what I came up with as a search term is just using the knowledge that we already have, so Nutcracker and wish list. And if you search for this one, it's going to be 8 different events, but this one here is right after, I think, the original connection. So you can see that there is wishlist sent to admins only. It's my fake list. And watch out, because this is notepad.exe being invoked with the name of the file. We just need the name of the file here. There we go. Wombly faction has user accounts in our environment. How many unique Wombly faction users sent an email message within the domain? Okay, this is kind of a tricky one, but I did like this. So here the idea is that we're going to filter for the email event source, and then I decided to go for the from field and create a visualization. So just quickly looking through the various values that we have. Let's increase here the number of values to like 50. We can see that there are a bunch of these elf user ones, and then a snowball, that's Alabaster Snowball, probably different user accounts for Alabaster, and we also see W Cube for Wombly Cube, I guess. So we can see here a common format, and we can refine our search term here to wildcard, looking for WCub, for example. I just wanted to keep it like as generic as possible, and then do an update on this, and it comes back with 4 different email addresses. Fairly simple. All right, next question. Alabaster faction also has some user accounts, as we saw it before. How many emails were sent by the Alabaster users to the Wombly faction users? Okay, a little bit trickier, but this is just going to require us to refine the search term. So we saw a snow was the format. This is going to be the from, and then to WCUP. And here we need to add together the number of emails. So that's 9 plus 6, that's 15. That is 19, and plus 3 is 22. We will see that these ones can be also solved way easier on the CLI. Right, 22 emails, and then I think this is one before the last, so there is 24 questions then. Of all the, I found these ones the most disturbing and difficult ones, especially the last one. Of all the reindeer, there are only 9. What is the full domain for the one whose nose does glow and shine? Okay, this is kind of on the nose, no pun intended, but obviously that's Rudolph, right? To help you narrow down the search the, okay, so yeah, search for the event source for the emails. This is, in my opinion, not particularly helpful. And not really giving you anything that you are not already aware of if you have done the challenge. So what I came up with is searching for the name Rudolph, and then listing out all the various events. Now, the tricky part is that we have one record for all these email accounts, and nothing really sticks out. So it says, what is the full domain for the one whose nose does glow and shine? And we'll see that all these domains are used by other rain beings as well. So you kind of just have to go through all of these and try them as the answer. At least I couldn't come up with anything that like kind of points that this is the right answer here. Okay, it is a Rudolph domain, but we will see the last question is a very similar one to this, and it just, I don't know, it doesn't make too much sense. So I sort of brute forced this, and if you submit the Rudolph.glow one, yes, I mean, it's Rudolph and glows, I guess, yeah, you can figure it out from the riddle. With fiery tail, seen once. Okay, now as I'm just doing this video recording, I kind of see what tells you which one is the right one. Okay, so Fiery Tail is a giveaway here. The previous one was Glow and Shine, so Rudolph.glow was the domain there. Fiery Tail, we'll see that there are emails from Blaze. See once in great years, what's the domain for the reindeer who flies without fears? Flies without fears. Now, I tried to ask even ChatGPT about this. I'm, again, not American, so this kind of folklore um, or narrative about the Santa is a bit alien to me. I know it from movies, like Rudolph is even kind of normal here in Europe, but the rest was kind of a guessing game for me. To have narrowed down the search again, they give you this very uninteresting hint, and the Fiery Tail gives you the idea. So let me just show you how you can narrow this one down. So you would go through here. You can filter out some of the like Elf and Alabaster and Wombly Cube ones, but there's still a ton of other ones. So you would have to like do a lot of filtering, and eventually you would realize that Blaze is Bell's Blaze is a common one, and then the riddle is Fiery Tail. Now, what has a fiery tail? A comet is a fiery tail. So the domain that we're looking for is comet.Hellies, I guess, and I'm not even sure what that is. Anyways, that is the correct answer. You can just brute force this one as well. All right, and we have the last achievement here for the gold challenge. Awesome. We can also talk to the elf. Going to congratulate us, and that is the end for the Elf Stack Gold Challenge one, at least if you use Kibana. Now for the CLI part, and this will be much quicker. I'm gonna do less explanation compared to what we had with the Kibana version, and also what we had with the easy version of the challenge. If you don't really understand why am I doing certain things, just take a look at the beginning of the easy CLI challenge one if you're interested in the CLI solution for this one. All right, so let's get back to Elf Stack again and do a hard mode challenge version one more time. So what is the event ID number for Sysmon event logs? For process creation, we established that one, right? So process creation is something that you can just find here in the Sysmon documentation. It's a 1. And then how many unique values are there for event source field? So we're going to use the same exact consideration here as we did it for, I'm gonna stay on here in case we want to do something here with the Kibana interface, although I doubt that since we're doing the CLI solution. So the idea is that we can do a head and just take out the field. Okay, just for prudence's sake, let's do head 1 maybe. So I can take out the event type here, which is field 1, 2, well, that's 2, 3, and 4, because we use space as the delimiter. So field 4 is the type of event, and then we can do a quick stack analysis on this with sort unique sort. Again, this is explained in the easy version of the challenge. If you do hard version and you just want to see the CLI, you're probably familiar with these commands anyways, so I'm not going to explain them again. And I'm not even going to wait around for this, because this was also a question in the easy version of the challenge. So if you did the easy CLI, you should know that the answer is 5, and we will see that one as we get back to the terminal. So there are 5 different event types. And I think also question 3, what is the event source name that contains email logs? So we also know this one from the easy challenges. Okay, so that's all for the warm-up questions. Then for question 4. So we need to find the received IP that sticks out from the rest. Let's just do that. So we're going to use the email logs for this, right? And my first command here is just looking at the structure of the events to establish that we have received IP 1 and 2. And we can do a quick sort, unique sort magic on received IP 1. And I can also do the same thing with received IP 2 to find that there is one outstanding IP address here. And we're just going to search for that one and print out the event that contains that IP address. Now, again, if you are wondering why am I having this awk command here, look at the beginning of the easy CLI. Just jump there with the timestamp and come back. I explained it there. This is my way of extracting just the message part from these. Okay, and I have an explanation on like why I chose the 3 dashes. Actually, it was ChatGPT who told me that, and I just went with that because that was a good idea. And there's also proof in the easy part why that works, why it's a valid way of filtering and extracting the message point. And then we're just formatting it with JQ. Again, if you don't understand any of these parts of the piping, then look at the easy challenge beginning. You don't have to watch the actual like solution at the beginning. I explain all of these. All right, so they're asking for the from field, which is over here. Then question 5 was figuring out the host that connected out to the IP here, and we used in the Kibana section this the URL here. We're also going to have the same kind of consideration here. So based on that knowledge, I can filter, for example, for the domain name, and I'm switching from the email to the proxy logs. In case you're wondering how am I clearing the terminal, it's Control L, by the way. All right, and we need the host here, which is Sleigh Rider. Alrighty. What was the IP address of the system found in the previous question? Here is the IP of the system. So I think in many ways the CLI one is easier and faster. And you see that crunching through 3 gigabytes? No, almost 3 gigabytes. What was it? 0.7 plus 0.8. So yeah, a bit over 3 gigabytes worth of logs with grep is actually pretty fast. And if you use something like ribgrep or ugrep, it's going to be even faster. I think like an order of magnitude faster even. So there are definitely feasible, viable solutions to do CLI log analysis. I know people tend to shy away from this, but CLI tools can be very, very, very efficient for this. And the big reason why I'm doing the CLI version of this whole challenge is to make a point and to prove that. All right. So process was launched when the user executed the program after they downloaded it. Okay, that's gonna be a cool one. Check this out. So we did the surrounding events idea with the Kibana version of the challenge solution. So what I'm going to do here is look for a network type of event. So either the proxy events or Sysmon operational events. And then I'm going to look for events containing the domain and the events following after. So A5 means display the 5 lines after I have a match with grep. And I'm going to look for event ID 1 because we're looking for a process ID. So I'm looking for process creation events, and we'll see what we can catch with this. Of course, we're going to have more than one event, but we only have 2 events here. And let me take a quick look at this one. CV host services. So this is probably nothing here. This one looks much more promising. We see our URL here, Chrome accessing it. So that is a good match. And then I just need to get the process ID. That was the question for question number 7. There we go. Did the attacker payload make NABAN network connection? What is the destination TCP port? Very, very similar concept to the previous one. So we are filtering the logs for, it's really, really fast. So we're filtering the logs for the proxy logs and sysmon events. I'm grabbing for the IP address now, so just to make sure that we catch network-related events, and I can filter for just this IP address. Again, I'm looking for a match and 5 events afterwards, and then event ID free, hoping that I'm going to. I don't even need this one, so I can actually just omit this. I'm not really sure where I left the green code one there. I think it was just copy paste from this one. Yeah, here we're also filtering for event ID. So yeah, you can scratch the green code part here actually. So yeah, we're looking for event ID 3. And if you don't find anything with A5, you can just keep on increasing that until you have more hits. This returns only one single event right after a match on this event. Oh, I know. No, actually, no. Scratch what I just said earlier. So you still need the green code one. So first I'm filtering for those events, and then I'm filtering on the sysmon one. So here I'm doing a pre-filtering. Oh, I'm actually very smart with this. So yeah, this is needed. Also the same idea here. So this is a filter for the proxy events, but I'm looking for events following after. So I cannot just filter one or the other. I need both of them. So, there's actually a reason why I have the 2 here. And the question here was the destination port. And we know that this event is related because the process ID is the same as in the previous question one. Right, so submit that. And then question number 9, the attacker escalated their privileges to the system account by creating inter-process communication. So this was looking for the name pipes. And if you're looking for name pipes, again, in the Kibana section, I showed you this article by Elastic. So if you search for privilege escalation and name pipes, you will see this article. And at the bottom, there's a pretty good rule query that gives you an idea what to look for. And I'm doing the same thing here. So we're looking for sysmon, grabbing for slave writer, and then the double pipe here. Just as I explained during the Kibana section, there are events related to name pipes in sysmon, but those ones will not contain the right information. We do have the info here in this event though, which is a process creation event, yeah. And there's another event that is a registry value being set. This also contains the name of the name pipe. So both events are good. They're just not name pipe events, interestingly. Okay, let's get back here to the question and submit that. Question number 10, the attacker's process attempted to access a file. Submit the full and complete file path accessed by the attacker process. All right. So the idea for the next one, oops. Not sure what this is. There we go. So for the next one, because it's asking the attempt for accessing a file, we established this that we won't be able to find anything really with sysmon related events. We can give it a try, but if you list out the what am I getting? There are more details part. We see that there's process creation, there's some file creation, but nothing on file access, which is usually a raw what's the name? I forgot. Raw access read, yeah. So we don't see that event ID here or that explanation here. So it's not a sysmon event. And if you search for file access type of events, you will find this one here. Again, I explained that during the Kibana section, showing you that you can do the same thing. So I'm grabbing for that event ID, not even the actual like event ID field, just the ID value here. And I get one single event which contains the file that was accessed. Now watch out, because this one has double slashes here, so we need to remove that one when we submit the solution. It's a kind of long string, so more, I think, desktop, and the rest of the file name is cool. All right. The attacker attempted to use a secure protocol to connect to a remote system. What is the host name of the target server? Now, just like we saw it before with the Kibana case, there are multiple ways to find this. We can search for what is seemingly a username, and this looks like an SSH key. Wow, this super long video is taking a toll on my voice and my vocal cords. I think we are just over 2 hours now, but we're almost there, almost there. This is going to be a very long video. Hope that a lot of you are watching the entire thing. Okay, so grabbing for the username can be one way to find out what kind of protocol we're talking about. You see a lot of SSH related events here. So that is one good way of looking at these. Or you can, if you suspect that is SSH related, also look for SSH here and see the username plus the host name, which is Kringle SSLay, or SSH is also included here in the host name, so that's also a good giveaway here. Question 12. The attacker created an account to establish their persistence on Linux host. What is the name of the new account created by the attacker? This is fairly simple and straightforward, because we can look for user add in the events. And I'm also here grabbing for the host name. We have one single event here. Here's the new user being created. Here is the name of that user. It says the age. Next question. The attacker wanted to maintain persistence on Linux, gain access, and executed multiple binaries. What was the full CLI syntax of binary after they created the new user account? Okay, so this one has the same idea as before. We're looking at surrounding events with the grep -a, and after the user add match. So this one and this one only differs in the parameter of the grep. That's it. And we see it here immediately. There is the command, and it requires full CLI syntax for user mod. The attacker enumerated active directory using a well-known tool over LDAP. Give the timestamp here of the attack that was initially recorded against the domain controller. So just like we talked about this during the Kibana section, this is not a sysmon related event, but you have to look for an LDAP event, LDAP bind for it to be more specific. And we can filter for that event ID. It comes back with one single event for that event ID. And the question was the timestamp value. So here you can use the event date value. But just be careful, because there is going to be question 19, if I remember correctly, where this format is not accepted for a valid timestamp. Actually, you have to use the the format that is present in Kibana. So they attempted to perform ADCS, escalation 1 attack, but it was denied. What is the name of the software preventing the attack? This was the Kringle Guard, and the way you can find this is, again, you have to do some research on this event ID. Let me just show you that one very, very quickly. So you have to look for certificate service denied type of events, and this event ID will kind of bubble on top of the search results. So you can just filter for that one. Returns one single event, and in the reason for rejection there is Kringle Guard. Now this video is not something that I just accelerated, so this is not a video that I up the speed of. This is normal speed, and this is just how fast grep actually is. So as you can see, we can progress very, very fast, and a lot of these are kind of built around the same idea. So this part here, when I'm extracting the message field, so this part here is always the same. You can see that I'm just operating with head or JQ. Now here I'm just, of course, limiting the number of events returned because I know that there's only a few events. Not even sure if I return here all. There's still just one single event, and it returns equally fast. So there's no point having the head one there. And I'm just using grep, the awk command, and a JQ is just to display everything pretty printed. So you can grep your way around this challenge, really. We think the attacker successfully performed the attack. Can you find the name of the user successfully requested the certificate on behalf of? So we need to look for success events. Here in the logs, there is 4886 received the certificate request, and 87 which is approved. Probably the best idea is to look for both of these. Now I could have used here extended grep and include both of the events. I'm just going to do the lazy thing. So obviously accept would be the one that you would be looking for first. There is no such event, and if you look for the certificate issuance, certificate was issued to a user. Not sure if this is correctly represented here, because this event is saying received, but it's actually issuing the certificate. And the UPN, where is it? Yeah, there is the UPN. We only need the user name, not the full principal name, which is Nutcracker in this case. So again, fairly easy to just run two different greps and find the answer. One of my file shares was accessed by the attacker using the elevated user account. Submit the folder name of the share they access. So again, we looked for share access type events first and found that there is 5140 for share object access. We're also going to leverage the fact that we know the name of the compromised account. So we're filtering for Nutcracker here, and then the event ID, and then the rest is just displaying the log entries here. And the first log entry that we get will contain the information about the name of the share, which is wish lists. Here we go. Question 18. The naughty attacker continued to use their privilege account to execute PowerShell script and gain domain administrator privileges. What is the password for the account the attacker used in their attack payload? So if you watched the elk version with the Kibana, then you know how much I had to struggle to find the right events with the correct script block, because the script block was not searchable, it was not parsed. Here I can just filter for PowerShell operational events. Actually, you know what, scratch that first. So I'm also going to show the same thing that I showed you there. For PowerShell operational, we can list out the event IDs, find that script block logging was enabled, also module logging was enabled. These are good practices. And I can just filter for the script block log. And we can also search for Nutcracker here, just a line break at the end. And if I do filter for that, we're going to find the script block here containing the username Nutcracker and then password. And this is the password that we're looking for. So as opposed to struggling with Kibana trying to filter out events that we're not interested because they were just noise, we can just simply search for the name because we're searching for the raw logs. So there is great benefit working with raw logs. And let me just get on the soapbox here for a second. Your SIEM solution will do parsing and translation between the fields, but the raw fields are your actual evidence that you have to work with during a case, during an investigation. So do not rely too much on the graphical tools because they might not lie to you, but the way they parse it might obscure the raw information. Sometimes you really need to look at the raw data, maybe because it's just easier to search in raw data or because the data is not even parsed out. And sometimes these tools might lag behind the changes, especially if we're talking about things like cloud logs. They change monthly without any exaggeration. So you have new logs, changes in the schema, the log format, and you need to keep up with these. Not every tool is able to do that for you, especially if you do some manual customized parsing. Okay, question 19. The attacker used remote desktop to remotely access one of our domain computers. What is the full blah blah compliant timestamp? Okay, so ISO 8601 compliant timestamp is something that you can easily find, but the problem is it's not going to be accepted. So if you remember back and if you watched the Kibana one, then I was just lazy searching for the logon type instead of filtering down for logon type events because I'm looking for RDP logons, that's logon type 10 for successful logon events. So this is a really good shortcut for slicing down even the type of logon events that I'm not interested. Then we know that the account name was Nutcracker. That's all the filtering that we're doing here, really. This is just for an initial grep run. And the event, I'm always doing CAD1 to return just one single line here, otherwise things are scrolling out. But you obviously want to be a bit more, forgiving here and do like a hat5 to get like an initial set of events. And if you're not happy with the results, you can just remove that head operation. What was the question here? Yeah, the timestamp value. Okay, so the timestamp value is kind of tricky here because we have event received time, which is in the right format, by the way. And there is also event time. Now, event time is not related to the format that they're asking. This is in the right format. However, the tricky part here is if you try to submit this, this is not accepted. And I find this one kind of annoying and unfortunate. So what you can do, just get here, is convert this. So you need to change this to the notation that is more common in Kibana. This format is actually being accepted. Oh, and you also need to adjust the time here, right? So that was -4, right? Oh, sorry. So I'm not really sure why they decided to go with this format. This is just making the CLI part harder, but not better. Okay. Anyways, I think they really should fix the challenge and accept this timestamp format as well, because it's totally valid. Like, it's in the right format, it is the right value, it should be accepted. I saw someone on Discord complaining about this. I think they were Absolutely right. Okay, question 20. Only 5 more questions. The attacker is trying to create their own naughty and nice list. What is the full path they created using their remote desktop connection? Okay, so we are back with the remote desktop connection, but we're not gonna filter for that because we already know that this is the share that they were looking at previously. So I think it's a good assumption that they might try to create their file there. And sure enough, we see the file path here for the It's My Fake list. There are other events that you will find here. Confidential this list, no more gifts is also something that looks interesting. You can try that one as well. It will not be accepted. Then you can move on to the second one here. And again, I need to... Now let me just try not to remove these. Yeah, this is not being accepted. I think this should be also accepted, by the way. So here towards the end, I think even the question writers were getting tired of their own questions. And this is the correct answer here. Right. Wombly faction has user accounts in our environment. How many unique Wombly faction users send an email message within the domain? Ooh, right. So for this one, we're going to filter for the email events. And looking at the fields, we see that we have from and to. So we can just go for the from fields, for example. And here we're just taking an initial look to get an idea what kind of email accounts we see. So we have Wombly Cube here with VCube, there's VCube accounts. And if we add here one additional filter. So in the previous one, I was filtering for the from and doing the sort unique sort. Here, I'm just adding a grep for the wcub string, listing out the top 25, and only 4 comes back. So the answer here is 4 email accounts. All right, the next question is how many emails were sent from the Alabaster users to the Wombly accounts? So in the previous question, I was kind of jumping through that. But in my command, I had the part where this is already the advanced one. Just scroll back here. So I had the part here where I also should have noticed the A snowball one. So here I can take a quick look at these actually and see that we have now we're just making a selection to the from and to fields, and I have to create this JSON object. So this is new. I haven't used this feature before. This is very, very great to select just the fields that you're interested in. So from these events, I'm just interested in the from and to fields, and I'm filtering for a snow from the from field and the to field for wcub. And you can see here a bunch of these email messages. Now I could have added these numbers together, but with a quick modification, very slight modification to this command, instead of doing a sort unique sort, I'm just doing a line count. This comes back with 22, which is the right answer. And you can see that with CI, I don't even have to do math. So in case of Kibana, I had to add the numbers together. Here, there's no need for that. I can just use word count. How awesome is that? All right, the last one is the question about the reindeer and the one that knows does glow and shine. I want to find out the domain that they're sending emails from that belongs to them. This is going to be done by looking for Rudolph, case insensitive search, of course, and the from fields. Now, I am not 100% sure how this one ends up here. Yeah, this is really, really strange. Oh, I know, because it's the from field. So this one is probably sending one to Rudolph. Yeah. So I could refine probably here a bit the the filter for the from field, but it doesn't matter. So again, we end up with these, and we need to kind of rely on the um, the question that it glows and shine. There's a .glow domain here, and it also has Rudolph in lead speak. And the last question is similarly to the previous one, but we're looking for the reedy who flies without fears and have a fiery tail. Okay, so these are the hints that we get. And again, if you checked the Kibana version of the walkthrough, then you know that Blaze is something that we saw here earlier. So that's a good candidate, actually. And they're communicating with Rudolph, so I guess this is an extra hint with the CLI for you. And if we look for the from field, there is one that has a fiery tail, which is Comet. A comet has a fiery tail, right? Or, you know, because you can just easily get these and select them like this, you can just try to submit one by one all of these until you get the right one. And when you submit it, then you're done with the challenge. Whew. I know this was a very, very long video. Wow, almost 2.5 hours. That is crazy. But I wanted to show you this version, this two version of the solution, in case you were not considering one or the other. Probably the best way to solve this challenge is mixing the two. So don't just stick with one single tool. Don't be afraid of pivoting from one solution to the other one. I think that gives you the best of both worlds. So some of these were easier to answer through the CLI. For example, the PowerShell one was way easier through the CLI. And then some other ones were much easier to find using Kibana and all the features of the GUI interface. So it's not one or the other. It's both. You want to use both as an analyst, and you want to have the skill set to use both a GUI tool and the CLI. And I know that CLI can be intimidating, but with practice, this becomes just another tool in your toolbox, and you would be very, very comfortable using it. Hopefully this video helped a bit making your way towards a CLI-based analysis. Sometimes that's the only tool that you actually have, because there is no GUI interface. You don't have the luxury to move gigabytes and gigabytes of data off from a remote site. You have to use these CLI tools for a quick analysis. And you saw that the speed was pretty good, almost as fast as Kibana, without the 30-minute waiting time for parsing. You also have to take that into account. So if you think that, oh, Kibana is much faster for the searches, yeah, once the logs are ingested, but you spend 20-30 minutes on just waiting around for the Docker to consume those logs. So compared to that, the CLI is actually faster, because we're not being waiting around for minutes and minutes for the CLI commands to finish. It was a few seconds delay, and then we got some answers. Of course, typing in the CLI takes some time, but you saw that I was mostly just grabbing things. So really cool challenge overall. The only reason that I cannot say that this was my favorite, because it felt like work. But I always say this with a compliment. This is the reason why I like Holiday Hack Challenge challenges, because they're very realistic, and this one was definitely a very realistic one. Sometimes the jump between the various stages of the attack was harder to follow, but they are very good relevant questions to the investigation. As you look through the logs, you might notice, for example, oh, there was some LDAP activity, so you might take a look into that one. And they were all valid questions. It's just the logic was having some gaps between them. But I also understand that this was required by the structure of the challenge itself. So overall, pretty good challenge, very realistic one. As opposed to the next two one, which are a bit far-fetched and less realistic, but certainly a Bane twisters for sure. So if you're interested how to decrypt the ransomware and then deactivate it, then come with me to the next two videos.